Hello and welcome back to art class. Today we're going to be working on starting the coloring. You should have pretty much most of the main details done, and so we're going to focus on the coloring. It's going to be easy. We're only going to focus really on the top half this time. This is a really big picture, so it's going to take us 2 weeks to focus on the coloring. So we're going to do the top half, and that probably should include your hands and the upper body. And then next week we'll focus on doing the lower body and the shoes. That way we're going to break this up so that we're not trying to do so much coloring, because this is a really huge picture. Okay, so let's talk about the things I really need to cover with this. Skin tone. So the skin tone is what's the biggest concern, because I think most of us can pick our own color for the shirt and hair and stuff like that. But let's talk about the skin tone. Skin tone is usually a brownish color, and we are going to be using colored pencils for this. If you don't have colored pencils, you may use crayons, and crayons may offer more options for you. I'm going to use colored pencils. Now, one of the things that people really need to know is my skin tone here is not white like this piece of paper, so I can't be using just leaving white. That's just not going to be a realistic thing. So I need to use a color that has basically a little bit of brown in it. And if you think about it, the closer we're getting to summer, the more tan a lot of us is going to be, or our skin's just going to get a little bit more brown. So we need to think in those terms. And there's a couple ways you can do this. If you have a color crayon that matches your skin tone, whether it's a lighter or darker, it doesn't really matter, you're going to grab that color. But if you don't, one way to do that is to actually find a brown, and I recommend light brown if you have it, but I don't. I actually only have regular brown. And what you can do is, using the side of your pencil and holding it back here, you can super lightly, you're just going to go in and add a super light layer of brown. Now, if you need to add another layer because your skin tone's a bit darker, then you add a little bit more brown. You're just going to layer this up so that you don't go past it. We don't want the skin tone to go too much past your actual color. So if you look at it, I know it's hard to see in the camera, but I'm pretty close. I could probably go a smidge darker. But again, if you have a color pencil that matches your skin tone, you may use that. That's again why some people use crayons, is because crayon boxes sometimes have better color choices. I'm going to use brown. Now I'm going to quickly do the sand, so I'm going to fast forward through while I'm doing the sand. I'm going to talk about what to do with the lines. Okay? So I'll see you in just a second. Okay, so now I have the hand basically colored. You may want to outline it neatly with the brown. That's okay to do. The only reason why I'm doing it is some of my lines aren't really smooth, so I'm going to outline it with the brown. Okay, and then what I can do is I can actually go in and just cover my lines, pressing just a little bit harder with the brown. And now I don't need to do every single, if I like kind of sketch something in, I don't need to do every single line, but I should put in a few of them. Okay, so you're gonna wanna add a second layer like me. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna add just a smidge more. Now, again, if your one layer takes care of it and you can handle one layer, that's fine, but mine is a smidge darker. So you're gonna add as much brown as you want, but you always wanna start out light, because it's hard to lighten up a brown once it's on your paper. So if you have to add 2 or 3 layers to slowly darken it to the right color or the right shade, that's okay. I know it's a little bit more work, but you'll be happier with the result in the end. Okay. Then you would need to do the same thing for your face, is you would add the light shading. Again, if you need to practice, use the back of your paper to practice. It might take you a little bit to get used to it. The next thing, the concern is that I have is making sure you do your hair color correctly. Now, most of us have any number of color for hair. So you get broken down, it's usually black hair, brown hair, blonde hair, or red hair. Those are the most common. But the thing is hair usually is more than one color. So if it's dark brown, it's usually brown plus a little bit of black. If it's light brown, then it might be brown mixed with a little bit of blonde, which is, in our case, yellow. So if you have really what we call sandy blonde hair, so it's mostly yellow with a smidge of very, very light brown added to it. So you're gonna have to think about what colors are actually in your hair to do this. So we do want it to be fairly realistic, and then you're gonna color your eyes. So what I am going to do is I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up. I'm gonna fast forward and do this. Just make sure you work on your hair. I wanna finish my hands first and then my skin, and then I'm gonna work on my hair. You do not need to worry about the bottom half of this paper for right now, because again, we'll deal with this down here later. This is gonna take us a while just to do the top half. So just worry about the top half. All right, I will see you at the end of this. So you notice that I left this white space alone, and I'm going to encourage you guys to do that. If you want to color this space, you can, but it is a lot of extra space, and we're already coloring a lot. So again, you want to have the person, the hands done, and definitely at least this spot. I just went with a kind of a starburst kind of coloring with that. You could have yours as a splash. You can kind of play with that and decide on your own. Don't worry about the lower body or the shoes. We will deal with that next week, because this part's just going to take a while all on its own. All right, I need you to take a photo of what you got done and upload it to me. And next week is our final week on this. So I will see you next week.